Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race IndyCar at Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. Alex Palou looking to start another winning streak. Rahal Letterman Lanagian showing pace this weekend, plus disappointment for Christian Lundgaard in qualifying. I'm Joe Samaniego. With me, Emily Sharp. Very excited to have Emily here talking IndyCar, and of course, very excited for our Patreon investors calling the show, Mark, Robin, David, and Matthew, for investing in the Grid Network each and every month. Link in the video description. Of course, buy me a coffee, YouTube super chat. We'll thank you on the air, and the simplest way, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and on across social media, Grid Network TV and gridnetworktv.com. All our articles posted there. Isha Batois have posted her F1 Academy Miami race recap, and of course, Matthew Bro will have his NASCAR at Kansas race recap, and Emily, Sunday evening, we'll be recapping what happened at the IndyCar race. But the IndyCar race is today, a Saturday race at Indianapolis Grand Prix. Alex Palou back on the pole. Palou is now going for two in a row. Again, he has won three out of the first four races. Now he has two wins here, including the last 3 years. Two of them last year, he did it from the pole. He's on the pole again. Is the field in trouble with Palou up front, Emily?
He does typically win on Sundays, and this race is happening on a Saturday, Joe. But no, I think this is going to be another hello Polo from the top of the podium moment for us this weekend. As you said, Joe, he's our reigning race winner here from last year's Grand Prix in Indianapolis. Before we jumped on the air, you and I were talking and joking about like maybe we should start pick a second place finisher instead of pick a winner, because I think that would make things more interesting as far as predictions go. So I think we can expect to see Pelot again at the top of the field. But the bigger thing that we're going to be watching is who's going to be our other podium finishers. Is the two Ray Hall drivers going to be able to hold off the charge from the field? Where is our consistent podium finisher and Christian Lundgaard going to finish? So that's what I'm more curious about, Joe. Like, where do you think these people are, or these drivers are going to finish? Because I think we can lock in Pelot.
Yeah, I feel Palou feels like a lock. Essentially, he has the pole. I mean, unless we have mayhem in that first corner, first lap, that's the
Which we
only way
might.
I can see. We might. That could be the one area where Palou might be the most vulnerable. But if he leaves the first lap, I think it's game over for Palou, and then it's just going to be, like you said, who's going to be second place? Because looking at the top 10, Graham Henry Hall, Louis Foster, both of them will love to get a win podium. If Louis Foster wins this race, he's been successful here before. That'll be a huge upset, especially so quickly in Rahal Letterman Lanagian. You got Devlin DeFrancesco. Redemption's his number one thing. He loves to get there. Then you have Alexander Rossi in ninth place, and I just feel like when you look at the top 10 winners, eighth place is the furthest back from somebody in the top 10. Nobody has done from ninth or 10th.
Mhm.
Rossi, he would just love to make a statement win. There's so much potential, but they all might be going for second place, as you said, because if Pelot's just leading that first lap, unless we get some sort of rare mistake, because I feel the best way for Pelot to lose a race, somebody makes it where they make a mistake that impacts Alex Palou, or the caution comes out at the wrong time for Alex Palou during green flag pit stops. And that's the thing. He just seems unbeatable. Only a mistake could really do that. Last year,
Yeah.
we've only had one caution in this race. And in fact, each race for the last 3 years, one caution apiece.
Mhm.
Three times, no cautions in this race at this course. Do you anticipate with the trend we have, one or no cautions here?
Isn't it crazy that the last time we had a caution was on the first lap of the first race of the season in St. Pete? Like, that's just, I mean, obviously, we're thrilled that these drivers have been, put in the safest vehicles possible and everyone's, minding their P's and toes and keeping it in line. But that's just wild to think that we haven't had any cautions thus far. I will say we are officially in the month of May, and I do feel pretty confident that when we go back to Indy later this month, that we will get some cautions. Big question is if we're going to see it today, though. I do think that if we're going to see a caution at all, to your point, Joe, it's going to be on that first turn one, where it gets to be a little chaotic as it does tend to be. But last year, despite the chaos on the first turn, specifically in the back of the field, no caution. The only caution that came out of last year's race was very late, almost, the last 20 to go. So it, it's really hard to predict. I do. We talked about it already. Christian Lundgaard, he's starting way far back. He's starting from P14. He's had great success at this track in previous years. In 2023, he was P4. Last year, he was P3. So, and he's been on the podium every race so far this season. So, we know he's going to be charging, trying to get back to the front. So I'm a little concerned that it seems to get bundled up on turn one, and we have a very hungry Christian Lundgaard trying to get himself back to the front. So who knows? Maybe it's written in the stars that we get a caution. Obviously, we hope that we don't, and that Christian Lundgaard, I'm not jinxing him right now. But I do know that we can tend to expect chaos. But we haven't had a caution all year, basically. So I don't know. What do you think, Joe?
I just think, I mean, all streaks have to come to an end. I just feel like this might be the race weekend because first lap, first corner. I love that point you brought up about Christian Lundgaard. That is an easy invitation to make such a big aggressive move. You get blocked, and next thing you know, contact, and you got a mess
Hmm.
on that first corner. That could easily be the caution we're talking about. Then next thing you know, we're going to be single file restarts the rest of the race. What's going to be really interesting too, now that we got this unique tire strategy of you got to use the
Hmm.
alternates twice, you really almost don't want a caution because now you got essentially three pit stops where that could impact. Three pit stops, of course, that's opportunities for somebody a loose wheel. We don't see it too often here in the IndyCar series, but overall, it can happen. I think this is just going to be one of those races, Emily, where if we get a caution, it's going to be early on. But like you pointed out,
Yeah.
last year was very late. Something could happen, a mechanical failure late in the race towards the end. That will shake everything up two times in the 16 races here. Only twice the winner has come from outside the top 10. Of course, Colton Herta was the first to do that from 14th, where Christian Lundgaard, as you mentioned, is starting as the lineup shows right there. Lundgaard second in the points. I thought coming into this weekend, since he had such strong runs here at this road course, I thought he was going to be up front in qualifying. Maybe we will have a battle between
Yeah.
Lundgaard, Palou. Nope, he is 14th. Third, as you mentioned last year here. Do you think Lundgaard has a reasonable shot at the win?
I don't. I don't know about the win. I do. Last year, he had that great overtake with Pelot on lap one between turns two and three. He forced Pelot, to your point, Joe, he forced Pelot to make an error. He made Pelot go wide. He took advantage of, the inside line, took the lead. He was managing the lead for a while, and then Pelot just got again, just like Pelot does and Chip Ganassi, an awesome pit stop that gave him the lead and ultimately held it off through the end of the race. Um, but when he's starting in P14, anything is possible, especially at Indy, especially if we start having, alternate strategies, going back to what you said earlier, we know that this is an alternate tire race. The primaries, they historically have not been as successful here as the Reds have been. Um, so based on Christian Lundgaard's previous performances here, and that was even before he was having a banger year and finishing on the podiums every race. He's been making the charge to get up to P2. If we look at his previous year's performances, um, he, but he's starting in P14. And as you've mentioned, Joe, the Rahal Letterman Lanagan cars are always so locked in at this Grand Prix. So I don't know. I think he has hard work ahead of him. He needs to stay out of trouble in the back of the field and be smart. I don't think it's out of the realm for him to finish on the podium today, but I think the win is going to be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, I think the win's going to be incredibly difficult. And for me, I was surprised, as you mentioned, Rahal Letterman Lanagan, they're on pace. I really thought that would carry over with Lundgaard, that, okay, he's going to be in McLaren. He's going to have pace 14th. It was just like, that was a shock, especially coming off such a strong run at Barber Motorsport Park. All the talk, he could be the contender against Palou, and then this kind of qualifying result does not help him.
No.
Does not help him at all. I just think there's too many good drivers up there, and one of them you have to say has to be the Letterman Lanagan Rahal cars. The pace they got, Graham Rahal was finished ninth last year, but he led 2 laps, and we know last year was just in general not good for that team. But here they just seem to have something. Lundgaard, he led 35 laps last year, of course, with Rahal Letterman Lanagan. This year, Graham Rahal, second place. Great starting opportunity. Louis Foster, in that 45 that Lundgaard was in last year, he is starting third. And then Devlin DeFrancesco, fifth. So all the drivers in the top 5. Do you anticipate, because they got the Penske drivers behind them, they got more Ganassi drivers than Ready drivers. Do you think they could manage top 5 finishes?
Well, I mean, hello, Graham Rahal. Like, when's the last time he started a race in P2 when it's been in the 2020s? I feel like we would have been having this conversation in the 2015s or 2010s with Graham. But great to see him up front. And yeah, last year, the Rahal Letterman Lanigan drivers, they started pretty strong as well. They all started in P11 with Pietro Fittipaldi starting in that P11. And then, as you mentioned, Graham and Christian starting higher up, and Christian coming away with the podium. Not to be a negative Nancy so early in the morning, I don't know if all of them are going to hold on to finish above P5. Yeah, looking at where our starting lineup is, you have Scotty Mack, he's in P4, and Joseph Newgarden. We have not been talking about him this season at all. He has just had a really, really slow start to the season. And we know his favorite month and his favorite place to be in the month of May is in Indianapolis. Granted, it's on an oval versus, a road course. So he's in P6, and this is potentially the best start for him to make some overtakes and get his way back onto the podium in the front of the field. So I think it's going to be a tough bill for these Rahal drivers to maintain P5, but if anyone is going to do it, to your point, I think Louis Foster might be the underdog. He's done well here previously, so keep an eye on him, everyone, because I think he's had a strong finish here before. He's put himself in a good position out of nowhere. He's had a really slow start of the season. This is absolutely his best start so far. So he's definitely one to watch today.
Louis Foster, I feel, especially Indy Next, had success there. Of course, got the championship, moved up. When it was announced that he was going to be with Rahal Letterman Lanagan, I just thought, oh man, this is going to be hard, because we know that team's generally does not have the pace.
Yeah.
I mean, just nothing. But here is that hope, and I mean, to put it third place, I think that's a statement that hey,
Yeah.
I'm completely up there towards the front. I'm ahead of Devlin DeFrancesco, which I know he's been away a little bit. That's a great effort, and then just on top of that, ahead of the Penske drivers, which are fourth, sixth, and seventh. This is just such an amazing effort by Louis Foster. At the same time, too, I do get a little nervous because we talked about mistakes in the beginning at that first lap, first corner. It will be a horrible rookie mistake if we were to see Louis Foster lock up or something and take out Palou because he's starting right behind Palou in third position. Now, granted, by the time they take the green flag, they might be spread out, and who knows. But if Louis Foster could make no mistakes in those first couple of laps, I think he could really have a great day, be on the podium, and be an underdog winner. Be interesting to see if anyone will pick him for pick a winner. Now, as I mentioned, fourth, sixth, seventh, that's where you'll find the Penske drivers Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, and Will Power. All three are looking for their first win, and all three, honestly, I just sort of feels like, okay, their season has been almost appears like it might be a frustrating start because you look at the
Yeah.
points, Scott McLaughlin, fifth, ahead of Will Power, who's ninth, and Newgarden, 11th. Do you feel this has been a frustrating start for that team, Penske, in general?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I already mentioned it. We haven't been talking about Joseph Newgarden. We've had more conversations about Scotty Mack leading up to Barber, because he's obviously been very dominant at that course. But and then, Will Power, obviously there was this huge narrative about, what is his plans after his contract is over. And we were expecting, to be silenced a little bit more about, he's going nowhere, he's here to stay. Look at these results that he's producing. And we haven't been talking about Penske. Granted, it's been quite a spread out season so far. And myself, I haven't been on the show as many episodes as some of my cohorts have been to have these discussions, but you know, Scotty Mack was on the podium at Barber. Joe, who were our finishers at St. Pete? Because we didn't have any Penske on Long Beach.
Yeah, no Penske in Long Beach. I mean, I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, it's been so long
It's
ago, everyone.
so long, but like you said, the Penske just seems to be very quiet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to remember. I don't think that we had a Penske driver on St. Pete. I'm going to talk very slowly as Joe's pulling that up so he can interrupt me if I'm wrong.
Newgarden, third place. And that reminds me, because that's when Bob Pockris asked Newgarden, what are you going to do about Palou? And it's like, it's race one, Bob, but
Oh, yes,
that's.
yes, yes, yes. Bob, find Joseph Newgarden today and ask him what he's felt since St. Pete with all of these Palou wins and podiums. Yeah, it's the fact that Team Penske, arguably the team in IndyCar that we have not been having these discussions about because they've been kind of been in the background as we discuss Palou and McLaren, and obviously a little Kyle Kirkwood moment and Team Andretti at Long Beach. It's pretty surprising, but we're in the month of May, everyone. We know that this is a big month for Team Penske, especially for Joseph Newgarden. He's starting in P6. Scott McLaughlin, he finished pretty in the top 10 last year, and then obviously Will Power finished second last year at this race. So if they're gonna come alive, it's this could be the great way to kick off this month for them.
Yeah, it could be a great opportunity looking at it. The only other Penske podium, of course, Scott McLaughlin at Alabama. But other than that, just Newgarden, that first race, Will Power not having to start the season, a lot of people anticipate. Even for his level, where he's more of the consistent driver and not just getting win after win, I feel it has been pretty quiet, and qualifying has not exactly been that great. I know it was funny you mentioned yesterday a little bit about Tim Cindric sounded a little bit
Yeah.
frustrated on Indy Next.
Yeah, when we got off the air last night, we love talking motorsports around here, shockingly. So we kept the conversation going even when we weren't recording. But for anyone that caught the Indy Next race at Barber, it was so great to have Tim Cindric in the commentators box to, help add some flavor to the conversation. And they were, having a discussion on usually when, these drivers come over from the European series, it takes them a couple of seasons to kind of get up and running. And he sounded from where I was sitting a little frustrated and exasperated when it came to Palou, and he was saying like, well, I guess Palou must be the anomaly because he's just out here, you know, thriving. So Palou's definitely living rent free on Team Penske's minds.
Yeah, that just, I think, indicates to me that there might be some of that frustration as they're not having the start that they wanted. They haven't gotten a win, which, granted, they will get a win. I think it's a matter of when, not if.
Mhm.
But just again, the points when you guys got McLaughlin there, a little further back behind Rosenquist of all people. Well, they're tied technically, so, and he has a tiebreaker, but Paddle Award, Kyle Kirkwood, Christian Lundgaard, and then 60 points ahead of second place, Alex Palou. This could be a runaway season because this will be the fifth race of 17. And then they're just going to start rolling off much faster and faster. Taking a look at Scott Dixon, seventh in the points, 92 away. So nobody's going to leave with the points. Only Alex Palou could do that. For Scott Dixon, qualifying has been very frustrating this year. 16th in the race today. However, he has won this race from 15th position a couple of years ago. So there's always that. But qualifying this year, he only has one start in the top 10. And that was back at St. Pete. Everything else has been outside the top 10. And of course, 26 last race weekend just was not helpful. Do you think there's something off in the Scott Dixon team? Because it just seems like when it comes to qualifying, something seems to be amiss.
When you were talking about the championship breakdown right now, I was about to say, and look at Pelot, it's not necessarily encompassing an inside look of what's going on with Ganassi as a whole, because Scott Dixon is well beyond Alex Pelot in the championship standings. So we haven't had this discussion yet. Is Alex Pelot, is the Chip Ganassi car potentially not as great as we are thinking it is? And this is more reflective of Alex Pelot just being an absolute master of skill, and he's getting this job done. Because to your point, Joe, we have not again had a discussion about Scott Dixon yet this season. He is the Iceman, who never count him out. I've jokingly said here on the program before, he could be starting at, I don't know, Long Beach this weekend and still find his way to the front of the field in Indy. So don't ever count him out. He's our guy who's, if anybody is going to do an alternate strategy today, change the number of pit stops, take a risk, it's going to be Scott Dixon, and it's going to be a masterclass of, saving fuel, saving tires. But Joe, what do you think? Like, should we be having this discussion? Obviously, we've been having it quite significantly around the Red Bull of it all in F1, and Max Verstappen's abilities versus the car that he's been given. Is that potentially what's happening here with Pelot?
I never really thought of that until now that you mention it, because I think it's very interesting. You have Kiffin Simpson in 10th. He has not exactly had that great a start, but this is only his second season. And I kept thinking, okay, he just needs that time. And of course, there's some people that would say, well, they should have gotten Linus Lundqvist in the car again. He had the podiums last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at Scott Dixon. Okay, second place at St. Pete. Great. Qualifying top 10. And then it just seems like something just seems to be missing, where he's just not there. And Alex Palou is on that other level, bringing the car up towards the front. Now, he has Barry Wanzer, one of the best when it comes to having somebody in your pit box. So there might be some sort of disparity between Palou's car and the rest of Ganassi's team. And those Ganassi teams might be at that level, as you said. They're just a couple steps behind Palou, but by doing so, they're also a couple steps behind the McLarens, Team Penske. I mean, and Reddy, especially at Long Beach, looked really good.
Hmm.
It's just really interesting point to bring out because I think if this continues, it'll be really interesting to see what does Chip Ganassi do because Chip Ganassi always said he loves winners.
Yeah.
He would want to know, okay, why is that guy a driver that's winning all the time, and my other two are not up there contending for podiums?
Yeah, and I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but should Pelosi start anywhere this season other than pole, I mean, we're going to have this discussion throughout the month of May as we lead up to the Indianapolis 500, but theoretically speaking, if Palou is not on pole there, which I think that there is a good chance that we will have a non Alex Palou pole at the Indy 500, how does he do in the dirty air? Just curious. Then I'll shut up about this conspiracy theory I've thought up this morning. But I'm curious. Like maybe we should be having this discussion. Maybe the master. It's more of the master than the vehicle that he's been given.
It could be. I mean, if without the cautions this year, especially, and even with that first caution, you think about it, Palou pitted right away in that first caution,
He
got rid of
did.
the soft tires. Then he just sort of paced himself towards the front, stepped on it, making moves here and there to just keep that lead. I mean, really, he has not been passed much except Long Beach, where really the strategy did not exactly work that well. Kyle Kirkwood, though, was just that fast, just that much better than him. So that could be really interesting if we have a situation, especially with this two tire strategy. If he finds himself in dirty air and something occurs and he has to race his way towards the front, it could be very interesting to see how he's able to handle that because overall, I think it's just something where if he could prove he could win from the mid pack to the dirty air, race his way towards the front, then everyone's in trouble.
Yeah. If they weren't
uh,
already.
exactly. And of course, I mean, that's the thing. I feel like we were talking about yesterday on Women in Motorsports program and encourage everyone to check out the video on YouTube. That is the closest championship battle, one of the most exciting championship battle. This one is even starting to look like a runaway where Alex Palou is 60 points ahead of second place in the points. And when you look at second place in the points, after seeing Peterborough, that was Scott Dixon who finished second in the race. Well, then it changes at Thermal Club when Pato Ward took second place. It changed again at Long Beach. Kyle Kirkwood took second place. And then after Barber Motorsport Park, Christian Lundgaard has landed himself in second place. So it has changed every week while Alex Palou just stays up front. Are you surprised, Emily, how second place has changed every race? Because it seems like you get second place the next race weekend, you do nothing.
I mean, if this is what we have to get excited about, we'll take it. Because to your point, Joe, Alex Palou has just run away with this championship, and we're 5 races into the season. So I think we could probably expect another change after today's race. Like we said, Christian Lundgaard, he's starting in P14. Um, don't by any means count him out, but I am slightly concerned that he's starting so far back on, turn one where we can expect chaos. I think it's safe to say. So I think that's, if this is the new championship fight for P2, and this is the excitement that we get. Um, we'll take it. But yeah, very interesting. I didn't really think about that until you called it out for us. But I've just been focusing on obviously the masterclass that is Alex Palou and Christian Lundgaard, who's had such a strong season so far. So it was a little bit surprising that he was having so much movement, just because you kind of naturally think like, oh, he's having such a good start of the season. He's kind of up there. But I don't, I mean, it's a close battle already, only after 5 races. Kyle Kirkwood, where's he starting today? He's a little bit further down. I
Yeah,
think though.
right over in
Oh,
Kyle Kerwood.
21st.
21st starting position, way towards the back. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I think we're gonna see a different second place championship uh driver after today. Again, we have this indication if he's gonna make it through okay and get some overtakes done. But yeah, you the viewers and Joe, who do you think is gonna be our next P2 position driver? Because I think we can lock the theme of today. We can lock in Alex Below for the win and championship leader after this race. But who's gonna be in that P2 spot?
that is going to be so tricky. So, it's 50 points if you win the race, plus, of course, bonus points for leading a lap, 2 for bonus.
Yeah.
Palou already claimed the pole bonus point. So, if somebody was to win, get 51 points, that means 51 points, you're looking at the top 8 potentially. Maybe Will Power if he was to lead every single lap, win the race, and Christian Lundgaard, Kyle Kirkwood, and everybody just crashed. But I mean,
What about Scotty Mack? He's starting in a decent spot today.
yeah, yeah, Scott McLaughlin over in fourth on the grid. I mean, that could be a
That could be,
potential opportunity. That'll be interesting because then he'll be another different driver. Because yeah, with Christian Lundgaard and Kyle Kirkwood pretty far back, I'm looking at Pato O'Ward, Scott McLaughlin. Scott Dixon, I feel, is a bit out of it, and Colton
yeah,
Herta. I just don't know where it is with that team. Colton Herta, overall,
all over the place. Yeah.
he is all over the place, and you got the surprises too of if you have those Rahal Letterman drivers, if Louis Foster, Graham Rahal finish in that top 5 position, that could help Christian Lundgaard because then you don't have a Pato O'Ward, a Kyle Kirk. Well, Kyle Kirk is so far back, but Pato
Yeah.
O'Ward in 8th. If he's stuck in that 8th or 7th, and if Lundgaard could get into the top 10, hey, he could potentially still keep second place. It's just so fascinating. The second place battle. It's just a bummer it's not the battle for first place in the championship because that would
I
have
know.
a season where you had 5 different points leader in the first 5 different races. Well, 4 technically, but oh my goodness, the top 8 in the points, any one of them could claim second place in the championship standings this weekend. And of course, that's going to be later today, a busy day for us here in the Grid Network. Of course, we're here on the air. Then we're going to have IndyCar. And then after the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, Tanner and I will be on the air to preview the NASCAR race at Kansas Motor Speedway. So subscribe, hit the bell icon, and it's time for one of the hardest, well, maybe not for IndyCar, pick a winner. We got Matt Bro leading by 1 point entering this weekend over Matt White. And of course, we encourage everyone comment in the chat room with who you think is going to win each of the races. We got a lot of races. We have MotoGP, IndyCar, NASCAR, Supercars, a lot of potential points. Of course, with MotoGP, that means Kiska in 15th place, going with Mark Marquez, as always. Emily, when it comes to the IndyCar Series, who do you see winning the race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that I'm a lady, so I will allow Kiska to continue to be ahead of me in the pick a winner standings, with me being in 16th place. So I don't know, maybe I should not predict Alex Polo so I don't get the point to overtake Kiska, but I'm gonna go with Alex Polo, lock that in. And again, because the viewers know me from the Women in Motorsports show, I like to go rogue at this point of the show and give you more information that you asked for. I'm gonna lock in Scotty Mack for a P2. I
Ooh.
I feel like Penske is due for something, not a win because Alex Palou is starting on pole, and unless some chaos happens, happens and he's taken out, he's gonna win. But Scotty Mack, he's a good start, and I'm all for having another P2 position in the championship fight. So, Joe, are you going with someone other than Alex Palou?
No, I gotta go with Alex Palou. I mean, the only way I see Alex Palou not winning this is if something happens, such as bad luck or mechanical issue or something like that. I just don't see anyone really pace for pace going out there and beating him right now. So that's why I think I just got to go with Alex Palou. As for second place, since you made a second place prediction, I feel that's where the real battle is, and we encourage everyone share your picks of who you think is going to finish second place. I'm thinking I'm going to go with Pato O'Ward for second place. I think
Oh, okay.
he could have a good day, assuming we don't have that chaos in the front and the start, clean start. He has a fast car. I just think he could put himself in a position to claim second place. For me, the Rahal Letterman Lanagian team, I think their hard part is when it comes to the strategy and you're up front for the first time in a while. How are you going to handle the strategy?
Yeah.
That's where I think their weakness might be. And overall, it'll just be interesting to see what all happens in the chat room. Adam, pick a winner. MotoGP, Mark Marquez, IndyCar, Alex Palou, Supercars, Brock Feeney, and NASCAR, Kyle Larson. And for second place, Scotty Mack as well, too. So, Adam, agreeing with you for second place. Now, Emily, as I mentioned, we got a lot of racing. Is there any other races such as NASCAR, MotoGP you have picks for? I just saw Mark Marquez did win the sprint race in MotoGP, so Kiska is going to gain another point.
I'm rooting for Kiska. I mean, since we're having such strong, confident feelings present this morning, I think we should also just lock in Mark Marquez as well.
Yes.
I feel good about that. Um, I like Kyle Larson for NASCAR. That Adam, I like that. Let's Adam, thank you for supporting me for Scotty Mack. I'm going to support you with your pick for Kyle Larson for NASCAR this weekend as well.
Yeah, I think I'll share my NASCAR pick with Tanner today. Mark Marquez, I think like how we said, Alex Palou can only be beaten if he makes a mistake. Mark Marquez, really, those two races he didn't win, mistakes he made on the races, but he's undefeated in the sprints. I just got to go with him as well, too. And then Supercars, oh, man. I know Brock Feeney got that first race win. I think I've got to go with Cam Waters. I think he's so good. And maybe Brody Kosek. No, Will Brown, race 3. It's Supercars, very competitive this year, which is interesting. In the past, it was dominated by Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen, Dave gone. Now it's IndyCar that is being dominated by Alex Palou, looking for another championship. And for everyone that has picked him, another pick a winner point. And with that said, that will do for our program today. So we encourage everyone, subscribe, hit the bell icon, give us a thumbs up if you like our video, because we'll be back on the air tomorrow and tonight for the NASCAR preview. Tomorrow to recap NASCAR, IndyCar, MotoGP, and Grid Ranking. Follow us, gridnetworktv.com, across social media at Grid Network TV, as well as the Grid Endurance Performance Index. IMSA's at Laguna Seca, so that's going to be a lot of fun. I know you were at Long Beach seeing those IMSA cars running.
So awesome.
Overall, now they're going to be Laguna Seca. It'll be interesting. We can see a shakeup in the leaderboard over there. And we'll do this all over again with Monday Grid Encore, Wednesday Grid Tonight, Women Motorsports, and Grid Life Pre-Race next race weekend. For Emily, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time and enjoy the races.